Hello again, everyone. I'm Kyle Benjamin alongside my buddy Tanner Marlar. A lot to talk about after the Brickyard 400 and a busy weekend of racing all across the globe, from Belgium to Laguna Seca in California, where Alex Palou did Alex Palou things again in IndyCar. Connor Zilic doing Connor Zilic things yesterday. And then Bubba Wallace goes out and earns a Brickyard 400 victory. That one was no fluke. And I think that needs to be stated early and often as the discourse from this race begins in earnest.
Well, and that's the thing, is talk about perfect timing, right, Kyle? I mean, all of the discourse coming into this race, and now for Bubba Wallace to go in, win, I think the first technically oval win for an open chartered or for a non-chartered car on an oval since we've had the charter era around. To be able to pull out this win and to be able to really go out and, like you said, fight tooth and nail for it, fight everything from rain to other drivers. I think this is a more of a statement win than just about anything else. He drove like a man possessed today.
Absolutely. That team, all of 2311 for the last, the entire season, with the lawsuit issues, that kind of hanging over them. They've had speed across the board, just a real run of bad luck. Got caught up in a lot of crashes, mechanical failures. Pocono had all the Gibbs cars had that brake issue. And then goes out today, holds on, multiple restarts against one of the best to ever strap on one of these race cars. And they had enough fuel, not only for multiple green, white checkers and pace laps, but also for a pretty nice burnout at the end. So, their calculations were close, but good enough for the celebration.
If he was, he might have ran out. I came in here to record right kind of while that was going on. He might have ran out during the burnout because they were low. They were on fumes, but somehow, like you said, calculations and the math came through and they were able to pull that one out. And you mentioned those restarts. Talk about the timing for Bubba Wallace, right? I mean, we come and we've got 4 to go. You have to sit through pit road, the nerves that he's got to be experiencing during that kind of period. I mean, I can't imagine.
He mentioned that in his post-race interview, that he was thinking about everything possible under the sun than having to go out and race, multiple more laps, and knowing, especially that there could be multiple restarts. He could run out of fuel. He could get washed up the track, and end up in the fence. A lot of things certainly could go wrong. But enough about Bubba Wallace. He's into the playoffs. Great win, well earned. That team has had plenty of speed. Other things, throughout the race, it was panned on social media. I know a lot of people are like, the attendance is bad. First of all, the place seats 300,000 people. Unless you have 300,000 people there, it's going to look empty.
Exactly. It reminds me a lot of Bristol in that regard, and in the fact that it's hard to pack that place out generally, not for any event, because it just holds so many people. At 300K, it's tough to get to a race, especially a NASCAR race, one this time of year with this kind of weather, and there at Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the oval.
Yeah, for sure. It's a hard sell to get folks, the race fans in that area, if they're going to go to one, they're going to the Indy 500. And then, to ask people to go bake in the late July sun here in Indianapolis is a big ask. But a good crowd saw a great race. You can dog on the car all you want, but there were comers and goers. There were lead changes. There were green flag pit stops. Early in the race when they were saving fuel on lap 12, I thought, oh boy, we're in for it. But it actually, made the strategy play out fairly interesting. You had some folks who gambled on a late caution. Catherine Legg being one of them, ran up front, ran second for a number of laps. So good for Catherine. And then Brad Keselowski actually ended up capitalizing on that fuel strategy and coming home with a strong 5th place finish. Todd Gilliland, of all people, and look at the rundown, comes home 6th.
How about Todd? How about Todd Gilliland? That was not on my bingo card, and I've got
not on my bingo card at all.
You are now. I'm looking at the same thing you are now, and what an interesting finishing order, to say the least.
Yes, They also ran 168 of the scheduled 160 laps today.
Yeah, yeah. What I think you and I had exchanged messages right before the red flag came out with 4 to go. One day, somehow, some way, this race will end, and
It
it
was
seemed
going
like
to
it
come
was.
to a conclusion.
It seemed like the racing gods were determined for it not to end. I thought we were going to be here much longer than we actually were for a little bit, but we got it in. And again, like you said, Brad Keselowski comes home fifth. Ryan Blaney had a solid day at the track, came home seventh. You like to see that. Carson Hocevar, another top 10. And he's got to find that win at some point this season. He's had the speed, another top 10 for him. Just all in all, a really interesting tree here.
Fascinating, really a fascinating top 20. Again, Catherine Legg, we mentioned, comes home 17th. That's not a fluke. That's a good, solid outing for
That
Miss
is.
Legg,
And right behind her in 19th, Shane Van Gisbergen coming home
who
19th.
who has a ton of laps at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I think just the 168 today.
I was going to say, I think this was the first 168 today. And to be able to come home 19th in that car, solid day. Solid day for a lot of guys. John Hunter Nemechek had a solid 12th place finish.
And got to give a tip of the cap to Ty Gibbs coming home 21st and collecting $1 million check.
Hey, take that. Any day you can finish 21st and be $1 million richer than you were coming into it, that's a win.
It's a good day.
That is a win.
Good day at the office. The in-season tournament kind of fizzled out, I think. There's some issues with the format. There's really no defending kind of how it was laid out, and the races. You have an in-season tournament, and 2 of the races are road courses. I get what they're trying to do, but the last 2 guys standing finished 21st and 28th. Which just kind of
would it have been a much cooler story if Ty Dillon could have pulled out a 15th today? Sure.
Yeah.
But starting with what is essentially a super speedway and then going to, again, like you said, 2 road courses and ending it here at Indianapolis, you couldn't have picked a more different group of tracks to go with. And while that may have been part of the point, it didn't quite end the way that I think NASCAR would have wanted it to. But hey, like you said, Ty Gibbs, who obviously needs all the money in the world.
He's got to pay for that ride somehow.
I know funding's got to be tough for that guy.
The rest of the rundown, I'd love to know what happened to Josh Berry. He was up front most of the day, comes home 22nd. And quietly, Chase Elliott continues to just put together solid finishes. 13th, so he's outside the top 10. But I do believe that is going to help his overall point standings on the year. For a guy with 1 win, he is now on top of the charts. So it's all Hendrick, the top 3. Elliott, Byron, and Larson, followed by Hamlin, Reddick, and Christopher Bell. Those are your top 6.
Well, and in that same breath, I think the Byron slump has kind of continued with this one. Again, 13th place for Chase Elliott, which will, again, grow that lead, but only because William Byron coming home in 16th for a guy that started this season so red hot. As we approach these playoffs, there are serious questions about how far, he can go, how much leg does that 24 car have when we get to this postseason format? And I think it's a valid concern at this point. They're not showing a lot of signs of trending in the right direction. Maybe a late season win gets pulled out of a hat, and just like I do, a lot of times that can fix everything. That can turn a team around in a heartbeat. So we'll see. But the slump kind of continues for that 24 car.
It does. He got wrecked last week. Struggled at Sonoma, struggled at Chicago. They've been. He doesn't run for Penske, who has been cursed across all motorsports platforms this year.
I don't know,
but some of it's rubbed off on
deity, him, what higher power they've angered at Penske, but it is out with a vengeance.
They are having trouble everywhere. Byron. He was on pace for top three. He was going to be on the podium today, ran out of fuel with, 3/4 of a lap to go. Comes home 16th. And even with his string of bad results, is still only second in points.
Yeah.
So the
100%.
3 wins certainly help. And he hasn't fallen far, and he gets some bonus help going into the playoffs. But as the regular season winds down, only a handful of races to go here before the playoffs start. Pulling up the schedule to take a look at what's coming next. You got Iowa next weekend, Watkins Glen, a place where Byron has won in the past. Richmond's going to be what it's going to be. It's a Saturday night race, so the temps are going to be a little cooler. But Richmond is a 1-lane racetrack, and until they figure out the tires and the aero for that, it's going to be. I think that's going to be a fuel mile race. And then, of course, you end the month with the Coke Zero Sugar 400 at Daytona, which is anybody's guess. But Byron is very good at Daytona, as are most of the guys in the field.
You mentioned Watkins Glen, a place that he's won. I will say, SBG's also in the field. If he is in that race by any stretch towards the end, he's my pick to win it. It's going to be tough to find another win. And like you said, I think when we get to the playoffs, he'll obviously be high in the point standings. But again, I just wonder, with this string of just horrible luck, how far that 24-car team can make it just by pointing their way forward.
And it's interesting, if you look at the overall performance of Hendrick this year, they've won races. I mean, both between he and 3 cars have won 7 races this year. Byron's got 3, Larson has 3, Chase Elliott has 1. Alex Bowman hasn't sniffed victory lane once this year. And for that matter, finished third today.
Yeah, came third today.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at last week.
No, wrong one.
Wrong week. Where did Bowman finish 9th? So he's had a solid day for sure. But Hendrick has been quiet, interestingly, and it's weird to look at their results and the season and go, yeah, but they're still first, second, third in points without making a lot of Hendrick-like racing noise.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is it feels like a much quieter Hendrick season. And you could say Hendrick has dominated this regular season all you want, and the points totals will definitely back that up at this point. But like you said, it doesn't feel like they've got the same momentum going into this postseason right now as they have in years past. And granted, there have been years, again, in the past where they have had that momentum and they have gotten this really big hype train behind them, and then it fumbles away at the last minute, or a Penske car swoops in at the last minute and takes the win. Maybe that kind of air of, I don't know, quiet. I don't want to say quietness, because like you said, they've won 7 races as a team, but that air of maybe quiet confidence is signifying a much different outlook now for this Penske team, for this Hendrick team, than it might have in years past.
Yes, I do need to clean something up there. Byron only has 1 win. Of course, that Daytona 500 this year. I've confused William Byron with Christopher Bell, apparently. Bell, Hamlin, Larson, and SVG are the only drivers with multiple race wins this year. So, but still, they've got 5 wins out of however many races we've won this year. But again, very un-Hendrick. When they're good, and when they're not good, they are absolute non-factors, which I think would cause some concern there in Concord for that program heading into the playoffs. This doesn't seem like it's going to be a season where they are going to be the championship favorites. Although, Chase Elliott quietly in 21 races, 1 win, 7 top 5s, 12 top 10s, no DNFs. And he has 6 playoff points. You argue all you want about the points format, which was a huge topic earlier this week. I think with those stats, 12 top 10s, Larson's got 13. Like, those are the kind of things that make you a good race car driver and make you a championship winning race car driver. You bring the equipment home. in one piece. No DNF says a lot. About it. Ryan Blaney, 7 DNFs on the season. Bubba Wallace, 6 DNFs on the season. Josh Berry, 5. Denny Hamlin's got 3. Larson has 2. Byron has 3. And Chase Elliott, goose egg in that column. So, maybe he turns something on here late in the playoffs, and we'll see what happens. But I don't know. I think it's Hamlin's championship to lose at this point. For a guy that is consistently, there's a stat I heard, he's consistently in the top 2.
Yeah,
it's either to win a second or checker or wreckers for Hamlin. I think it's his championship to lose this season. So good race overall. I enjoyed the heck out of it. Lots to watch. There was action on track. There was strategy unfolding. And Indianapolis, as it tends to do, picked its winner.
Well, and this is the kind of racing that you and I enjoy. We like to see the strategies play out on the track. We like to see the longer runs. We like to see guys get in the groove, settle into the car, and drive. So, again, a really, really, really solid race from IMS. And Bubba Wallace comes home with the win, a big win for that 23-11 group. I'm hesitant to call it a team right now. No one knows, but a big win for Bubba Wallace, Denny Hamlin, and everybody involved with that group.
And that, I'm inventing a stat category, but Hamlin now as a car owner has the Brickyard 400, and a driver has the Coke 600, the Daytona 500, and the Southern 500. So he's done the Grand Slam almost.
We're right there. To answer your question from earlier, current odds as of earlier this week: Kyle Larson plus 330, Denny Hamlin plus 425. Those are your 2 favorites right now, according to Fox Sports, for the Cup Series championship.
I'll take it. I think the battle between those 2 guys at Phoenix would be something to watch for sure.
I'm with you.
All right. Well, Tanner, hey, I appreciate you hopping on. Look forward to chatting with you next week as the Cup Series goes to Iowa. Congrats to Connor Zilich, who is immensely talented. Look forward to seeing him in the Cup Series next year. 4 straight will be his first trip to Iowa next week. So we'll see how he handles that bull ring. Maybe he can go 5 straight. We'll see. But that'll do it for us here. We appreciate the fine folks at My Place Hotels for being the official hotel sponsor of frontstretch.com. You can head to My Place Hotels, use code FRONTSTRETCH for 10% off your next stay. They've got locations all across the country: Indianapolis, Nashville, places in Virginia. They're everywhere. And they've got in-room kitchens and nice beds. So on your next holiday, make My Place your place. And we'll see you guys here next Sunday after the Cup Series races in Iowa. Tanner, take it easy, my friend. We'll see you next time.
My Place Hotels is proud to be the official hotel partner of Front Stretch. With plush beds, in-room kitchens, and pet-friendly hotels, My Place makes for the perfect pit stop when traveling. Front Stretch fans can use promo code FRONTSTRETCH to save 10% on your stay at any of our nationwide properties. Sign up for our Stay Rewarded program to get even more savings. With My Place Hotels, don't just stay rewarded.